right, hello everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. Very excited to be with you as always on this April 1st. April, wow, where time goes, it just flies by. Anyway, very excited to be with you. I got an interesting topic, and I did start the conversation about it with Carl last time, which I hope you guys enjoyed. I know our conversation was about like 2 hours. I enjoyed it. So we're going to be doing that more and so. So what I'm going to be talking to you today about is the upcoming trip of the Secretary of Treasury, US that is, Janet Yellen, to China, which is mind-boggling, first of all. And second, it's embarrassing. You know, we are sort of fomenting tensions in South China Sea and the Taiwan Straits and so forth, and yet we are going to China begging for money. It defies logic, which is embarrassing for me as an American. You can't behave like that. And let alone in Asia, as you all know, guys, honesty means a lot in that culture. Once you break that trust, it's over. And this is what I'm going to be addressing with you, with the big picture, of course, the geopolitical and the global financial aspects of it. But before I do this, let me see who is here. Wow, you guys already here, some of you. Zero, good to see you as always. Michael Goss, good to see you. Taiwan Still. Chiaki, same, good to see you. And I read your comment, by the way. John Huntin, my apologies if I mispronounced it. Good to see you here. Michael Tan, evolutionism is anti-science lie. Good to see you. Passport Scotch, good to see you. Who else? Ricardo Baja, good to see you. Wayne Paul Leon, good to see you. Cool Walk, Peanut Brain, Hamed Sifi, good to see you. Francis Tango, here you are. Willie Holman, Winner Jasmine, and Phil, as always, and Truth Seeker. Good to see you. Coach Choi Hoi, thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate your continued support. It means a lot. Lori, good to see you as always. Francis Tango, also you. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate you, Francis. It means a lot. John Smith, New Zealand, good to see you. Marcian Dorcier, good to see you as always. All right, let's get into our topic, guys. Today's topic is, as I said, how embarrassing Janet Yellen is going now to China begging for money. What is she going for? To have some mushrooms? Some psychedelics? I mean, it's embarrassing. It's laughable, but it's also sad. Because here is the thing. What most Americans do not know, that if China says no, we have to print more money. Printing more money lower the value of the dollar. Americans who are living on a fixed income or limited in their financial resources will be struggling. We're already seeing it here in the US. The media is now reporting about it. I mean, I go outside, I go grocery shopping, I buy my own stuff, and I see where the prices are. And now I am in a position of dealing with, okay, do I buy this or I buy this? I can't just splurge whatever, even if I have the money. It doesn't work that way. So this is what Americans do not understand, is what lies ahead financially for this country. And now here is Yellen, Janet Yellen, that is going all the way to China. Why do you think Chinese are stupid? They're not. They're smart enough to know. But there is one caveat which I am going to disclose to you as we move forward, under which China could agree to lending money to the US. But here's the question we need to ask, guys. And you can tell I'm fired up because I've been dealing with with some work outside, and it just keeps me hyped up anyway. But excited to be with you, of course. Now here's the question we need to ask, guys. And right here. Okay, how significant is the upcoming trip? Because why at this time? This is the second trip, by the way. Because it is significant. When you look at the two major economies in the world, and only the one that is not willing to sit down with Chinese on an equal footing is the one that is taking the initiative. It's not Chinese coming over to Washington. It's the US going to Beijing. That's what the significance of it. Second one, what does this trip reflect on? You know, what is the reflective aspects of this trip? It reflects that the ongoing tensions. That's what I'm saying. We cannot be, and one of you guys, by the way, put this in the comment regarding the post that I did for the community when I asked for the survey, which, by the way, I'm going to address that one briefly too. And one of you put the comment, makes sense, and I couldn't agree more. We are fomenting tensions in South China Sea and expect China to help us financially. That just doesn't make sense. Third question is, what will China do? Because we need to ask that question. We don't assume. And I am coming to this not from an assumption perspective that, oh, China's going to say no. No. I'm leaving the door open to the other possibility once I explain to you a few things. And of course, I would love to have your feedback on this. And the last question is it too late for the US to even be reaching out to China, given that it's preparing for a war or conflict? I won't call it a war because we can't fight a war anyway. It's a conflict, and yet asking for money. And this is where I see that the hypocrisy, the embarrassment, the double standard, whatever term you want to use, because it is embarrassing. Well, at least treat Chinese equally. Then we might see something different. If I were in charge, let's say Secretary of State, whatever, the first thing I'm going to have to do is sit down with the Chinese and fix the problems. And I'm not saying fixing by giving or sort of just agreeing to whatever. No. It's give and take. This is where the art of diplomacy is. It's not about my way or the highway. No. Otherwise, nothing will move forward. And the Chinese understand that one. So what I wanted to show you here, guys, and I'm going to share with you the screen quickly here because I need you to see this one here for the survey that we did. And I had a reason for doing the survey before I posted the topic. So here's I don't know if you guys, it's not going to look well, but I'm going to read it to you here as far as not the comments, but the polls. 4% said yes. The question was, should China lend money to the US? 4% said yes. 91% said no. And 5% said, I don't care. Which I can see that argument. This is why I always put that in. Well, 91%, it tells you what? It tells you right there where is the sentiments. Of course, your opinion matters to me personally. That's the reason why I put that in. It's because that's how I will learn about your understanding of what it is. And majority of you, the numbers speaks for themselves, saying 91% said no. And I can see why. But I also want to know your reason. Why? I know it was just short survey saying no. Can you please type in a chat box just a word or two? Why not? Why do you think China should not give money to the US? And I'll move forward and I'll read up your answers as I move along. So before we dive deeper into this, let's do headlines. I have only 2 or 3 for you, and we'll just go from there. And let me answer the question. Let me read your answers. WMSJ101 says, because we are snakes. Yeah, sort of hypocrite. As I always say in a foreign policy, you can't be saying one thing and doing another. And this is exactly what we're doing. That's why we don't have a competent diplomat. Whomever is in Washington now, those are just amateurs. Those have no clue. They are useless. Chanel, you wrote, for one thing, U.S. is horrible in every way and cannot be trusted to pay back. I see your point there. Stephen Ray, yeah, we are sanctioned. You said sanctions on China. We are sanctioning China and yet going and asking for money. Just doesn't make sense. YT, you wrote, the money will be used against China. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Truth seeker, who will want to loan money to a country always tells lies and bad-mouthing China. Those are facts, guys. That is the reality of it. So good to see you, Locio Delgado from Montreal. Q7, you didn't vote. money. But you wrote, I would think giving the money will be strengthening your antagonism. I see your point on that one. So, all right, let's get into the headlines quickly here. Then I'm going to share some other ideas with you before I'll dive into the topic. So, all right, let me show you a screen because there's the image there. I didn't save it, but I wanted to show it. Not now. Okay, show it for you to you first. Then I'll tell you what the story is, and we go from there. And again, to those who read Arabic, you will understand what I'm. This is in Arabic, by the way. It says آلاف الإسرائيليين يتظاهرون للمطالبة بصفقة تبادل وإسقاط الحكومة. Thousands of Israelis are demonstrating, asking for the prisoner exchange and the fall or the down of the government. In other words, they want Netanyahu out of his possession. So it says thousands of Israelis demonstrate to demand swap deal and topple the government. That's what it is. So and this happened yesterday, by the way, in the vicinity of the government headquarters in front of the Knesset in Jerusalem. That's where it happened. Why? To demand the return of prisoners and deal with Hamas. Because here is the reality, guys, that we are trying to prevent. There is a massive destruction in Gaza, but there is one thing still standing. Can you tell me what it is? Massive destruction, but one thing still standing. Let me see your answer, guys. Once again, I like you to be part of this conversation. So that's the whole reason for why we're doing all this. All right. You can tell I'm fired up a little bit. So, and it might be another reason because I only eat one meal in the last 24 hours. So sometimes less food gives you, you don't need too much food. So anyway, let me see. Hospitals. No, Francis Tango. No, even our hospitals are being targeted. Jerusalem is elsewhere. We're talking about Gaza. The group Hamas still exists. That is the reason why. So all this distraction, but the whole reason for why the conflict started ended up not being accomplished to begin with. This is why now the Israelis are asking for Netanyahu to leave. All right. Second one I want to share with you. This might surprise you. Let me show you. Not always about geopolitics here, but sometimes we like to do something different. Let me show you this, share the screen with you. There we go. Share screen. Now, I don't know what your habits are about this, but this is very important, guys. And I talked about it often once in a while. So sleeping, listen carefully, sleeping less than 7 hours a day threatens you with a high blood pressure. Of course, in addition to the nutrition, the food you eat. So this is why I'm just wanted to say, this is based on a study that was conducted by Dr. Kafi Husseini, an assistant professor of cardiology from the Tehran Heart Center in Iran, and is scheduled to be presented at the annual scientific sessions of the American Colleges of Cardiovascular Diseases. So the bottom line is that he is arguing that less than 7 hours is not good for your health. So make sure you sleep in at night, guys. Don't mess around with sleeping because it's very, very important for your health. All right, one more thing, I think, and I am done with this. We'll jump. Yeah, one of them has to do with Putin. President Putin now is calling for 150,000 soldiers next month. And by the way, remember to join me on Friday for my conversation about this topic with none other than Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson is going to be here on the show on Friday the 5th, and I'll post it for you, and we just go from there. All right, let's get into our topic. Here it is. This is Janet Yellen. I forgot the name of the gentleman here. He's from the government in China, a high-ranking officer there. So what happened here? And by the way, that picture, I give credit to Francis Chung. I believe that's the one I give. And this is, I got it from the article written by Daniel Lippman and Philip Kim or Kin. So anyway, Secretary of Treasury Yellen will be going to China in April. I mean, this month, by the way, because when it was written towards the last few days of last month, so she's going to China. And again, the main question we ought to ask is, what is she going for? Of course, we don't know, but we're gonna detail about this. But before I do this, yeah, you might surprise you that I'm gonna do geography about China and a little bit of history. You all know the history of China. You know, let's do geography first. Then we'll get into our and I'll give my credit to World Atlas. Even though, here is the surprising thing, guys. When it comes down to geography, the maps, many maps that printed in the West shows different borders. You always have to be careful. Even with Atlas, which I usually like Atlas. I've been using them for a while. I even use their map in my books, whatever. But I call them on it sometimes when it has to be done. And I am going to show you in the map why that is. So, but first, let's get into the geography briefly. Again, the geography and history, I'm going to do them briefly, guys. All right, let's see this one here. Here is the Beijing, China. I'm sorry, not Beijing, China. That is. So China is an East Asian country. Of course, you all know China. You will be out of your mind if you don't know where China is. You know, situated in the northern and eastern hemispheres of the earth. Chinese countries, Mongolia in the north, Russia and North Korea in the northeast, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, India, Bhutan, and Nepal in the south, Pakistan in the southwest, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan in the west. China is also bounded by the Yellow Sea and the East China Sea in the east and the South China Sea in the southeast. And by the way, GDP for China, the last one, shows about $14.3 trillion. I'm sure it's more than that because that was based on 2022, the last numbers I checked. But here is the interesting aspect I want to show you. Look where Taipei and Taiwan is. And you can see the distinctions. The same arguments I will make about the Himalayas. The same thing I will make about the Bhutan. This is why India is putting pressure on the Bhutan. Of course, when Bhutan wanted to establish diplomatic ties with or exchange of diplomatic representation with Beijing. The same thing India is doing to Nepal. When I was in Kathmandu, even though it was a brief trip, locals there, they told me like, well, we have an issue, Mr. David, with India. I said, what's the issue? It's like, yeah, they're getting into our own affairs. But what I found interesting is the border paths, the border aspects in the Bhutan, okay, and the ones in Taiwan. That's why my reason for wanting to mention this to you is to be careful when you look at political maps. What I'm looking at usually when I use my books are political maps. This one is for you to see at least the history of the geography, rather. Now, when it comes down to China's history, that is the important aspects of it. Now, I'm going to share some pictures quickly here. Then we'll move on into, sorry, the picture is not clear enough because it wasn't clear enough in the, but suffice it to listen to the content of it. So what I'm going to share with you is a very, very, very brief history of the dynasties and the culture in China. So I'll detail that in my upcoming book, but that's a different story when you devote an entire chapter, 35 to 40 pages on that. So let's start with this. China's history spans thousands of years and is marked by the rise and the fall of dynasties. That's just normal way there. You also the events of wars, the interventions, and cultural achievements. So the earlier records of dynasty was the Shang Please help me out if I mispronounce this. Here is, I'm gonna put it in the chat box for you guys, and you can help me out with the pronunciation, because it is important to pronounce things the right way. So I'm gonna put it in the chat box for those who speak Cantonese and Mandarin. If you will be kind and just type it there, so I will see. But I'm gonna move on with this one. So the Chang, which was between 1600 and 1050 BC. And here is the interesting aspect about it, which most in the West do not know. It was during this dynasty that developed the writing style. You know, then it was bronze and oracle bones for divination, that is. So then you look at the other picture I'm going to share, because I got some few pictures here. This is the Bronze era. Okay. And again, guys, this is very briefly. It's because you all know you can't cover over 5,000 years of history. And I am going to invite Dr. Ken Hammond, who specializes in Chinese history. I'm going to bring him on the show. Then you look at, this is very important, the picture you're looking at. This is Confucius between 551 and 479 BC. Now, is Confucius was a philosopher and a teacher who influenced Chinese culture, ethics, and politics with his teachings, loyalty, humanists, and fallible pity, that is. So, speaking of Confucius, I'm going to share a quote with you from a Confucius saying. And I read about it way back, and I saved it because I saw the wisdom in it. And the wisdom is this, guys. It's not about just learning or have degrees. I have PhD, whatever. All that is useless if you can use it the right way. And here is what the Confucius saying goes. It says, and I quote, "He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger." End of quote. Oh my gosh, spot on. This is why we have the idiots in Washington with their degrees and positions, but have no common sense. To tie it to this topic I'm talking about, we send in an idiot to Beijing to ask China for money, while at the same time we are fomenting tensions through policymakers who are idiots, have no idea about the global affairs or the geopolitical landscape, or even interacting with other countries as far as diplomacy. This is why I see the pragmatism of this Confucius wisdom. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. Spot on. Spot on. All right, let's move on. And as I showed you, this is a picture of Confucius setting. Now, another picture I'm going to share with you, and this one has to do with the Qin dynasty, which was between 221 and 206 BC. What happened under the Qin dynasty? Can anybody tell me? Because I need to know, guys, that you are aware of this. What happened under the Qin dynasty? And let me type in the name so I make sure I get it right. Yeah, I typed it for you guys in the chat box. It's Qin. Yeah, Qin. Yeah, if you can. Yeah, what happened during the dynasty? There's something major that happened in China. Today's China, but back then. Very, very key. Without knowing that, oh, you got it, Muslim revert, you got it. It was under this dynasty that China was unified. Very important for you guys to understand this. Very important in the Chinese history. For the first time, it was unified for the first time, and they did something else well known in China. What is it? Well known. Well known. You can't talk about China without talking about that one. Paper, that's one. This is something major. Oh, you got it. Army with harmony. The wall, the big wall. That is very, very important. Most of us in the West, we never understand how these things came to be. And this is what I'm saying. Understanding what the Qin dynasty did, we did two main things: unify China and build the wall, the Great Wall, and the terracotta army to defend and glorify the empire. Then you move forward to, I think I have another picture, the last one that is, I believe. You move into the Tang dynasty and Song. The Tang was between 618 and 907, and the Song was between 960 and 1000 and 1279 dynasties. Those are the two dynasties. And why is this important in Chinese history? It's because those were considered the golden ages of art, literature, trade, and innovation. And of course, the production of paper, printing, gunpowder, and the compass. This is why it's important to understand those this part of history that is very, very important. It's very, very important to understand that. And of course, fast forward till China suffered foreign invasions, and of course, civil wars and the revolutions in the 19th and the 20th century, but emerged as a socialist republic strong enough in what year did it emerge? Can anybody tell me what year China emerged as a republic, socialist republic? Just type in the year. It's very important to know the timing. You got it. You got it. Reynold Lazaro. No, not this one. Reynold Lazaro, the one who was first. I got it. You got it. 1949. That is correct. And that marks the beginning of China in a different trajectory that reflected on where it is today. Of course, this is where the strategy comes in. And we don't understand the dynamics of all we understand now is we are mad. We are mad at China for developing. We are mad at China. And I am not promoting China here. You all know where I stand. You know, I don't do that kind of stuff because to me it doesn't make sense. Why will I promote something? You know, and if I am to promote China, why will I even promote China for? But I can refrain from stating the truth. This is the whole reason why I'm going to Asia to begin with, is to put the facts on the table for the Western audience to know and see, because I will have pictures and all that stuff. That's the whole reason. It's because the narrative, we are so pissed at China developing. How about if we cooperate? How about if we learn about their history, how they emerged to where they are today? And this is why, and this is again just a brief history, guys. I'm going to provide you a link to a specific, I'm going to share it with you now, but at the same time highlight to you the importance of understanding the timeline. So I'm going to put it in the chat box, and you guys look it up later on, because it'll take you time. But I'll share a few pictures with you regarding that aspect, because you need to see. Very, very important. To me, history, it's a reflection and a reflective of the reality of how a country emerged to where it is. And this is the link I sent to you guys, by the way. You're going to be, I sent it, but I'll post it for you. These are some images, and you can read about the Confucius and all that stuff, the Chang dynasty and so forth. So what I wanted to show you here is some pictures, because it's very, very important to understand. This one here is, I'll get back to it once this one is done. And I'll show you some images here. This is the Chinese in Hong Kong, and I give credit to Holton Archive. That's what it is. Let me show another. That's why it's so long. This is the Tiananmen situation that took back place, which, by the way, was manipulated by the West into what was stated into all that. And that's a conversation for another day. I'll be happy to get into it. But this one, it's not showing. Let me, because it has one of the major, the wall that you need guys to see. There it is. Yeah, system of walls. Very, very, very interesting to understand this aspect, guys. And once again, I will bring Dr. Hammond on the show here to talk about history. All right, I'm going to stop here, guys, because it's a long one, and I need to get on into the analysis as to what we are doing here. All right, let's get into our conversation here. Now, Yellen trip in the upcoming weeks to Beijing. Like I said, we asked the question earlier, the significance of it. Why is this significant? Well, it is significant because this one, first of all, it came as a follow-up to the meetings that took place in Beijing. And I did a video for you guys. If you go back, check the channel, look at the video. I did it in July. That's when she was there. And by the way, at that time, there were some sort of a progress, but very limited as far as the establishment of the new economic financial working group. Well, wait a minute. If we are to talk about the establishment of economic and financial working groups, while at the same time you in this case United States, undermining China by creating tensions in the South China Sea and the Strait of Taiwan, what will be the purpose of this working stuff? That to me, it's a hypocrisy. It doesn't make sense. You are saying we want to establish some financial and economic dealings with you, but we're going to sanction you and we're going to create tensions for you over there. And we don't want you to progress. And we don't want you to have the chip industry and so forth. That just doesn't make sense. And this is why she's going the second time. And this is why, for me personally, I use the term embarrassing, because this is an embarrassment, diplomatically speaking. Yeah, Janet Yellen usually is respected somehow in China. They do look at her favorably. In other words, someone who has some logic a little bit. But it's logic or not. How can you be dealing with someone that you could tell her, you need to tell your boss, get his act together before we move an inch? That's how I will do it. I understand diplomacy. I understand the protocol. But sometimes you have to put the does on the letter, as we say. You make it clear. And I'm going to give you a quick example here, sharing it with you in Chinese. Let me open it up for you. I want you to listen carefully, because there is the translation for it. All right, let me share it with you. And this was the recent meeting between President Xi, who granted an audience to US policymakers. Yeah. So check this out, guys.
交流
Okay,
合
I'm gonna
作
play it for you.
最后交融，那不就你中有我，我中有你了吗？思想
Let me start it all over.
交流合作最后交融，那不就你中有我，我中有你了吗？思想上也是一样，不同分歧，交流合作最后交融，那不就你中有我，我中有你了吗？思想上也是一样，不同分歧，交流合作最后交融，那不就你中有我，我中有你了吗？思想上也是一样，不同分歧，交流合作最后交融，那不就你中有我，我中有你。
By the way, guys, the person you saw writing, that's Graham Allison. He's the head of the government department at Harvard University. He has an understanding about China and all that, but still. So, and one thing President Xi mentioned is that why you guys keep voting for idiots, for he didn't use the term idiot. He says I forget the term. There was one specific term. The dumb, clownish politicians. And I tweeted on it by saying presidency is spot on. We keep voting for unqualified, incompetent, corrupted individuals and thinking they can lead us to something good. Look what's going on right now with China, the tensions. Do you guys have any idea, if you happen to be an American, and I am sure you're smart enough by now to know, do you have any idea what would happen if China reciprocated with sanctions by cutting off all the labor, all the goods that are produced in China and brought over here to the US, so for us to afford? Otherwise, you'll see people will struggle to buy shoes for about, because a Nike will cost about $400. A bike that is produced in China will cost about $300. The basic stuff that we are now enjoying here are produced in China. And this is where I see the challenge of these incompetent politicians. You are fermenting and digging holes in China and going over and asking for money. That just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And this is one of the reasons why I see the significance of it. Now, there is another also significant to this, is that the current administration is realizing that when they came in power, they embarked on the wrong policy. Make no mistake, I am no favor of Trump either, because what did Trump do? Wanted to put tariffs on China. So Trump and Biden and all the rest are two faces of the same coin. It's the truth. That's the way it is. So what this administration at least wanted to do before the US elections is that to show, oh, by the way, we are working with the Chinese to sustain the fragile stability in bilateral relations. Which, by the way, the US administration didn't want to admit to its mistake regarding the Chinese so-called spy balloon incident. This is why they want to send her to kind of, just put a band-aid on the relations, so this way Americans can see, oh, the current administration is doing well with China and all such. No, because how can the Chinese forget that? How can the Chinese forget the tensions across the Strait of Taiwan, or the Taiwan Strait, that is? And of course, how are they going to forget all this? And this is what I'm saying. It's a double standard here. It's the same thing when the incompetent Secretary of State went over there in June, and the idiot Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, which she said in August, by the way, last time and recently, that we're going to have to do whatever it takes to prevent China from developing chips. How pathetic. Why? Why are you having a hard time with a country that is progressing? And let me tell you why. It's because it's changing the dynamics of the geopolitical landscape on global level. It's because it's changing the global order. It's because it's changing the economic order of the world. And it's because also gone the era where the United States used to be the sole owner, if I use the term, of the earth. That era is gone. Now you have an emerging power. This is what we are mad at. We are mad at why Chinese, in a matter of 35 years, moved this fast. That's what's at the heart of it. And now, by the way, guys, I will be releasing a video for you soon. And I'm going to say it to you right now. Well, we are even pissed now at the Chinese technological advancements that they are surpassing the US. So now, on a joking side, would we expect Janet Yellen to be eating some mushrooms, magic mushrooms in China? What do you guys think? That's just joking aside. So, but anyway, on a serious note, sort of, I just don't see the rationale for this. It's because for us, printing more money is the answer. But the problem, most Americans do not know printing more money will devalue the currency, the value of our dollar, which, in other words, $100 that you use to buy a few things would be useless. Will be useless. And that's why I asked the question in the survey. Do you guys think, in your opinion, should China lend money to the US? And if no, why? And you already answered this. You already answered it. And just to remind you, the time in which she's going, there is already someone in China right now. Can anybody tell me who's visiting China? Official visit from that part of the world. So I want to just test your knowledge, because that's just part of it. Who's visiting China right now? Let me just see if you are. And I didn't disclose it in the headlines because I wanted to ask you the question, guys. Who is visiting China right now? No, no. Good try. Good try. Repeat. President Francis Tango. I won't call him president of Taiwan. He's not a president. He's a governor. Oh, you got it. You got it. You got it. Not truth seeker. No. Oh, I saw it right here. Yeah, the first one here. Link, Diablo, you got it. You got it. It's Prabhu. Not Atin Wu. It was Ahmad Siddiq. You guys got it. Malaysia is over there. Why? The timing of it. It's because Indonesia's eyes on the economic aspect. It has nothing to do with the Janet Yellen trip. No, it's just this is where I see you have to look for the moving parts, moving pieces around the world that gives you an idea. So Janet Yellen preparing for the trip is because we are seeing, first of all, what's going on with the finances of the United States. How much can we print? This is why countries are pulling their gold out of the US. This is why BRICS is moving forward. And by the way, I am yet to confirm the rumors, and I use the term rumors in quote, that India wants to leave BRICS. I'll be the first one to support that. But for now, it's a rumor. I'm going to have to check into this and find out the truth. But if that happens, that's going to pave the way for BRICS to move forward with bringing in countries that can contribute. I'm thinking of two right there in that part of the world, Indonesia and Malaysia, right there. There are others who are saying, well, bring in Australia. No, you can't trust the Australian government. You can't. You can't trust New Zealand. Even Nigeria, I won't even bring it to BRICS right now. Because if you think about who's controlling the energy sources in Nigeria, who's controlling that? It's not the government. Those individuals who work for the government are acting on behalf of those who control the energy sources. This is why the corruption is so massive in Nigeria. In my opinion, I don't think so Nigeria is ready for BRICS. And BRICS will have to move steadily, cautiously, pragmatically, because its expansion will be reflected on the global economy. This is what I'm seeing happening. And this is why also another reason for why Janet Yellen is heading out to China. How can we work out our differences? And by the way, when we work out our differences, we like you to buy our treasuries. China is dumping the treasuries. I was aware of, as Carl Zhao mentioned, I really was aware of that number, about $870 billion. That's all China holds right now. It used to be over 1.2 trillion. Now it's Japan. But if you think about what's going on in Japan right now, the yen is going down. And if this is not enough proof for you, go back to the 80s. What happened in Japan in the 80s? Can you guys type in the chat box? You should be familiar with really what took place in Japan in the 80s. The Plaza Accord. What that one led to? What did it lead to? It led to a result, something specific. Something specific. We planned that one. We orchestrated that. Oh, you got well said. With right there. Well said. Well said, Yang Tzu. Well said. Uncle Sam wanted to reset the game. Why? Is because where was the economy of Japan at that time? China now is learning from that history. Of course, China will not make also the mistake that the Soviet Union did. This is why it's important to understand. All this will help you to have a better understanding and to put the trip of the Treasury Secretary to China within its proper context. Because one thing we are controlling is the financial aspect through the sanctions, right? But that is coming to an end. Slowly, country by country, it's time to ditch the dollar and move elsewhere using whatever other means. And this is why I am going to check into this fact about India leaving BRICS, because if it does happen and if it is true, that's to me, it's a seismic change. In my opinion, pardon me, in my opinion, this will pave the way for BRICS to establish itself on the global stage as a major economic bloc that will play a role in guiding the trajectory of the global economy. That is how I see it, without India there. And this is why you can trust, if South Korea hypothetically reached out and said, we'd like to join BRICS, I don't think so. If Japan, Australia, New Zealand, even Philippines, which Philippines another basket case, even now the true color of what's his name, Bongbong, now has come up to the surface, or came up to the surface. I feel so bad for the Filipino people. Wonderful people. I dealt with some during my travels. Wonderful people. They deserve better. It's their country. But the government, no, squandering the resources, because between the two, the military establishment in Philippines and the presidency, two faces of the same coin. This is why now I'm even putting question about Indonesia being in BRICS, but I'm also going to have to think in terms of Indonesia's troubled past. I'm aware of his past with the Central Intelligence Agency back then. I'm Suharto era and all that. I can't forget all that stuff. I'm going to have to think, because he came on the heels or against the background of the finance minister resigning in Indonesia. That tells me something. So, and this is what I'm saying. If we are to go to China and ask for money, China would have given us money or buy our treasuries if we were dealing with China on an equal footing. But we're not. We're thinking we are up here and China is here. That era is gone. This is the reality now. And soon China's going to be here and we're going to be here. That's a fact. I know someone asked me last time if I will consider teaching at the Peking University. I will. It's because where I see the changes coming. I'm saddened to see where my country is headed. But again, it's my country's decision. We're going to have to bear the consequences of the incompetent politicians. But is it our fault? The people. Yeah, that's to me what and I see the reality. So when you think about Yellen going all the way to China, well, first of all, let's fix the problem. Let's start with the sanctions. What are we sanctioning China for regarding the chip manufacturer? What for? Let's get to that first. Then let's get into the idea of the EVs. Then let's into the idea of, here is what bugs me the most. What most those damn politicians in Washington do not understand is that China controls a massive amount, a high percentage of natural resources, rare earth minerals and so forth, which we need for our military industry, for whatever else we need, the phones and all that stuff. And instead of cooperating We are shooting ourselves in the foot. And I don't get it. I don't get the logic of it. But again, the only answer I can get is that we don't have any qualified individuals. So this is one of the areas that I'm saying, if China will agree to buy the US Treasury, in other words, lending us money differently, it will be under one condition. And that condition will be lifting sanctions. But at the same time, I see trouble with that. And China should be smart enough to know, because our system, every 4 years, you can see a new person. Look what Trump did. Look what Biden's doing. Who's to say that if the current administration lifts the sanctions, we get the money from China, the next presidential, let's say another president came up to power, that I don't care who, and end up reimposing the sanctions, but China would already have bought the treasury. That's why I'm saying it will not be a wise strategic move on part of China to even ask for the sanctions to be lifted. Let it go. You know why? Because China now is building its own chip industry. These sanctions forced China to figure it out, and they did. This is something we couldn't. And what's at the heart of it is the lack of competition. That's what it is. We couldn't compete because we don't produce engineers. And you all know this. I talked about it before, guys. I don't want to beat the dead horse here. But again, I am seeing the big picture into all this. I am seeing the dynamics within BRICS. I am seeing the dynamics within ASEAN, except for Philippines, Singapore to a degree. I've always said this. I'm seeing the dynamics of AUKUS. I'm seeing the dynamics of New Zealand now being sucked in. I'm seeing the dynamics of the US declaring that, what is that border area between China and India, that it belongs to India. No, it doesn't. The US wants to play India in favor because of the upcoming elections too in China there too. Modi, in my opinion, ain't qualified for that position. And again, this is what I'm saying. Those dynamics, in addition to the sanctions, for us imposing sanctions. What makes us think that China is going to say, sure, we'll give you money? No, we won't. It won't. And it shouldn't. That's in my opinion. Why? Because now China reached a point where it doesn't matter what the US thinks. It doesn't matter what the US does at this point. It won't matter. It won't matter. Why? Because the platform, and this is a weird analogy, guys, bear with me, but the platform on which China stands is solid. And that platform is economic, is technical, political to a degree. That's stability. This is why President Xi told those US CEOs and so forth, you guys keep voting for clowns. Spot on. I'll say it myself. And to those who say I don't criticize my country, you're only talking nice about CPC. Oh, no. I'm talking about what's logic. I'm talking about what's true. If the politicians in Washington were doing the right thing, I will say so. But they're not. And soon, just mark my word on this, guys. After Treasury Secretary goes there, you will see another trip probably in June by Secretary of State. Somehow they'll figure something out. Or the second option is you will see the US delegation going to Taiwan right after that trip. So here's a question for you. The question I want to ask you is, should President Xi grant an audience to Janet Yellen? Yes or no, in your opinion? Let me repeat this. Should President Xi grant an audience to Janet Yellen. Yes or no? Muslim Revert, you say no. Bobby Lowe, you say no. Stephen Ray, no. David King, US. Okay. Boone Howley, you say no. Cheesecake 99, you say yes. Bobby Lowe, you say let's Junior meet with her. Okay, why do you guys? Uh, what is the one who said yes? I'm curious. I'm curious. Jane Huan, you said yes. Why? Cisna Stokovic, you say yes. Why? Cisna, right there. Sinisa, I'm sorry. Sinisa Stojakovic. Why do you, in your opinion, President Xi should grant her an audience? And I'm just curious, guys, because that's how we learn. That's how. Oh, cheesecake! You said it's entertaining for Xi. Yes, but he won't waste his time on something like that. He had a massive country to think about. Really. Yeah. Yeah, there are those who say yes, that's the no. I'm one of those that say no. No, why grant her the audience for? Because that means you are elevating something to the level. Because remember, in diplomacy, it goes in stages. You meet with your counterpart, of course, and that goes without SK Wong. You say no as well. A president's not going to meet with her because you don't need to. You let your junior officers or whomever in charge of the finances deal with that. How are you not in favor? Not in favor of the meeting that took place in California between President Xi and President Biden, because Biden was going to just give the lip service to President Xi. So why waste that? Because in international relations, optics matters. The fact that you take in that picture with the president, it says a lot. No, I shouldn't even. And this one is not breaking protocol because the intention of the trip wasn't to meet with the Chinese president. It was to negotiate further the conversation regarding the economic group that's been established way back during her last trip. That is the whole reason for that. So to me, my idea would be like, no, why? If this economic and financial working group is to move forward, Chinese will put the dots on the letter, we put the requirements, and say, hey, take it back to Washington, see what they think about it, and let us know. But please don't waste our time. This is the way I see it. All right, guys, I'm gonna take some questions from you before I sign off because I have some other stuff I need to deal with. And just to remind you, I will be having Larry Johnson on the 5th. I'll post this for you and be on the lookout for my video that I'm gonna release tomorrow. Please don't forget to hit the like button on these videos once we're done here. I will greatly appreciate it. Sometimes, it's just nice to, I know, YouTube, please, if you are listening, let it go. Let it go. That would be nice. Positive energy. So I'll take this opportunity, of course, as always, to extend my thanks to all of those who support the channel, to the members on the Buy Me Coffee, to the members on the YouTube channel. Thank you all for your continued support. It means a lot. Should you decide to support the channel, here is the link to PayPal. If you do PayPal, and if you don't, you do Buy Me Coffee. And the first one for the channel, same one is for the Asia trip, and I am very grateful. All right, let me answer a question or two. All right. Cute 70. You said, do you think China should help, and if so, why? Well, if I am to remove the emotions from it as an American, I would say yes. You know why? It's because it will help us here in the US. I'll tell you this. If the goods in the supermarkets or Home Depot or Target or Lowe's or whatever that is go up, Americans won't be able to afford it. We're already seeing. I mean, I live here, of course. I'm already seeing where things are. I am now very careful about what I buy outside. Let alone I don't trust what's outside on the label of food. As I mentioned to you during the community conversation, I don't eat outside much. I cook my own food. So yeah, I can see the help of China will sort of translate stuff here. But at the same time, how much China can help the US? At some point, you say enough is enough, and that's what I feel. Uh, 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 that's the way I see it. Francis Tango, pardon me. Why does India wants out of BRICS? I'm not sure yet of this. I can't conclusively say it wants. I'm just reading here and there. And again, I've been around long enough. I've been dealing with this for over almost 25 years. So you kind of learn something like this, of this magnitude. I won't jump to conclusions right away. I don't, you know, uh, I've already reached my conclusion as to the role of India inside BRICS. It acts as an eyes and ears for the West. That's my opinion. You are allowed to disagree with me on that. I respect your opinions, but that's how I see it. This is why I will not be in favor of any Western country being part of BRICS. Even I heard that Algeria wanted to apply for BRICS, and it was France that influenced India to oppose Taiwan. That tells me the story right there. So I don't know. I'm going to look into it and get back to you guys. Let me see one more question here. If I see it here, I'm scrolling upward just to see. Most likely it won't be at the top. Let me go back down here and see. Chanel, you said, Dr. O, it won't help Americans, only the elite. Yeah, but I'm talking about the goods. The elites don't go to supermarket. You know, those people have no idea about average Joe, average Jane here in America. But at the same time, when China buys treasuries, the US treasuries, it's kind of because it keeps the products coming over, the finances aspects of it, the prices stay where they are. This is why China has the key. If they want to shut down the US economy, they could. Just impose sanctions, no more trade, no more shipping, no more export to US. We'll suffer here because where do we get our stuff? Where are we going to get our stuff? From India? What does India produce? But I see your point. Yeah, it's the elites and that's part of where the problem in America. The elites are controlling the government, not the other way around. So, and it's unfortunate. And I intend to talk about this one at some point on the other platform because where things are headed. This is why I'm starting to consider teaching in Asia. I don't know which specific country yet. It's just an idea for me now. Oh, Chanel, you're welcome. Welcome. I am starting to think. I had a conversation with my significant others, and I'm going to start looking at some universities. I have a lot to offer students in Asia. That to me, it's like in the US, the system it won't work so because I see what's coming, and I'll be happy. It will be a nice journey of life, a different journey altogether. That's it. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off here because I have some stuff to take care of. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Remember, on the 5th, I will have Larry Johnson. You don't want to miss that conversation. Someone, a former insider in Washington. He was in the same position as I was. So I look forward to having you join me and Larry for that conversation. As always, thank you once again for all your support, and I'll post the links for you for everything. As always, remember, your politics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.